Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. This is a special day today. This is deck number 500. I always try to do something every, I don't know, centennial deck, if you will. But number 500, I wanted to do something different. I want to do something different for me. I haven't seen a lot of builds like this for this particular commander. So I figured we'll get to the but I just want to take a second first to say thank you. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting me for 3 years now. And let's get to the deck. So, as y'all will remember, I got this card, what was it, February, I believe, at the local Grand Prix. I guess they're Magic Fest now. But, to get that in the frame. Anyway, Angus Mackenzie here is from Original Legends. Of course, he's reserve list, so there won't be any more printed. Now, that's an awful tiny text, and I'm not sure it's going to zoom in on it. Angus is a walking fog. He cost white, blue, green. I know myself and Danny both didn't get the Bant color in our crayon box, but that's what that color combination is called. And for white, blue, green, and tap, you fog. Now, Angus lends himself to a lot of, like, what a lot of people refer to as tribal fog decks. They run every fog because, you know, white's got a couple, green's got a bunch, and just winning through game pieces on the board without actually attacking. He also lends himself to a big group hug theory that ends up in a group slug, but I couldn't find what I wanted to do was I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. I wanted to get maybe out of my own head. And because I build, you know, I try to change it up, but I wanted to build the absolute most miserable deck I could with the cards I had. I did have to have a few of these shipped in. There just wasn't any in our local market, but I wanted it to be a miserable experience to play with, to play against. It just, because, you know, I don't normally do that. That's not a thing I do. I can tolerate it. You know, I can tolerate being miserable for a long time, evidently. But anyway, the first thing I went to was, okay, what is the most miserable card that you can play against? Now, I know that that's a loaded question, and there are a ton of answers. And it really depends on when you started playing, how long you've been playing. But here is my answer. Stasis. You don't get to do anything. Players do not get an untap phase. Of course, during your upkeep, you have to spend a blue or destroy it. Now, the way that works is if you don't spend the blue, you destroy stasis, but you're already past your untap step. So you don't get to untap, and then everybody else at the table in turn order will get to untap, and you're still locked down because you didn't untap. However, there are ways around that, as we will see. Now, the number one card to go with stasis we got in Legends, called Kismet. And all artifacts, creatures, and lands come into play tap. Now, of course, this is the original wording by opponent. Its opponents. It works for all. Now, Planar Chaos gave us an actual blue version, so we have, you know, a double copy here. And it does have the S. So, as of right now, everything is coming into play tapped, so they're useless. And they're not untapping. Okay, now as an alternative, we can use Static Orb. Static Orb's a little bit, you know, 2 permanents, yeah. But anyway, let's get back to stasis. The original way to upkeep stasis, because eventually you're going to run out of blue mana. Yeah, you're drawing every turn and hopefully laying that blue producer, but this is a 3-color deck. The original way to upkeep your stasis that we did way back when was a Birds of Paradise with an Instill Energy on it. Now, Instill Energy allows it to untap one additional time per turn. So you put the Instill Energy on a Bird of Paradise during your upkeep, tap it for the blue, it untaps, you've paid your stasis, you have quote-unquote infinite stasis. Now, Alliances also has a version of Instill Energy called Nature's Chosen that for this purpose functions similarly. Now, that is the traditional stasis. Now, there are other variants. You know, once Alliances was printed and we got Force of Will, the mono blue turbo stasis thing happened. But one of my personal favorites is Chronotog. Now, Chronotog helps us pay for stasis because, well, if we just skip our turn, we don't have to pay the upkeep cost. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, but if we skip our turn, we don't have a turn. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's just not our turn. It's never our turn. But what if we could take advantage of it actually not being our turn? I mean, in addition to not paying for stasis. Because it not being our turn, the first thing I want to look at here is Teferi's Protection. Now, this doesn't work with stasis, obviously, but maybe in addition to or instead of. Teferi's Protection, that very first line says, until your next turn. Well, you know what? The little evil Chronotog says, it ain't never my turn. It ain't never my time. It's always about somebody else. But until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you have protection from everything and all permanents you control phase out. So, yeah. Now, what you can do is, once you play Tef Pro here, your Chronotog is going to phase out along with your stasis. But if you know it's coming, I mean, obviously you do, it's in your hand. If you know it's coming, you can stack up enough skip turns to maybe it'll matter. Because you can only use Chronotog's ability to skip your turn once per turn, but you can do it on every player's turn. Well, except yours, because you ain't got one. And you can do that enough to where... Now, Tef Pro doesn't make us unkillable at that point. It is... you can still lose the game, or somebody else can still win the game, as per card errata. But, you know, can't take damage and protection from everything. Seems pretty good. Now, another way to upkeep, well, it's not really upkeep stasis, playing rescue. That's one of the old mono blue tricks that we used to do, is you would just draw a bunch of cards and keep playing lands, and once you got down, you would just rescue your stasis at the end of the turn before you, and untap all your things and replay stasis. But that's a one-shot deal. Capsize is a more permanent thing. Yes, it costs 6 mana to cast and buy back, but that's generally not an issue. Now, drain power is going to... There's always, especially in multiplayer, in one-on-ones, stasis is a little more brutal, but they can save up mana just by, if you don't have a piece, if you don't have the Kismet, untap, or say you've got the static orb, whatever. But the drain power, you can generally identify the person at the table that's got the answer to your particular lock. And you just drain power them. It makes them tap all their lands. And then their mana pool empties into yours. Now, there are a couple of things we have since we don't have a turn. We need to be able to cast things. So we have stuff like Voldalkin Ore and Leyline of Anticipation to be able to kind of sort of have a main phase. And then we really don't want to be attacked. So we are in white and blue. Propaganda, Ghostly Prism, Copy Enchantment, and Estrid's Invocation is gonna, should be enough of a deterrent to to make it happen where we don't get attacked. I did actually have the benefit of playing this deck, albeit I only played it once. And played it with my local play group, and it was, yeah, it did win the game, but I'll be honest with you, it feels like one of those dirty wins. Now, speaking of winning the game, that's something we got to do. Just keeping everything tapped isn't going to work. Now, back in the day, we used Black Vice, which works against one player, but we're in, a lot of players. Now, if I had thought about it, to be honest with you, I would have put in Psychosis Crawler. You'll see why in a minute. But Miser's Cage and Skull Cage. Now, Skull Cage was how I won the game that, well, no, it's how I did some of the damage, but how I won the game was kind of unorthodox. I had like 13 or 14, I had 13 artifacts and enchantments get blown up by the green creature that destroys all artifacts and enchantments, and you get a 3/3 for each one. And suddenly I had 39 power on the board, and it was pretty good. Anyway, but Skull Cage is the long, slow, grindy death. If you can lock them down under stasis. Now, granted, I was keeping count of turns and assembling pieces. I've kind of got from Sheldon Minery a few months ago through Twitter the after turn 10 anything's legal. Well, not really legal, but anything's okay after turn 10. So yeah. So let's get to what I did in the early turns. We'll do some mana here. Obviously, we have a Soul Ring, Mana Vault, Chromatic Lantern, because we are in 3 colors. So I tried to use that with the rest of my, mana rocks like Felwar Stone, Gilded Lotus, Commander Sphere, Arcane Signet, Darksteel Ingot, and a Sky Diamond, because we're going to need a little more blue than we need the other colors. Now, I am running the Chronotog Totem as a mana rock and as kind of a second copy of our Chronotog, if we need it. I was running a Rampant Growth and a Harrow just to mana fix in case we need, the basic that we don't have. And trying out this Fabro Elder. Now, the good part about Fabro Elder here is we are more than likely going to be producing 3 colors off of this guy. If you slap the Instill Energy on him, it's more. If, by the way, side note, Fabro Elder in a 4+ color deck, it's got to be 4+ colors, or a deck where you can steal permanents of another color to get you up to 4 color permanents. If you slap a Umbral Mantle on it, it's infinite, whatever color you want it to be. That's fun. Now, in this particular deck, we're not using the Umbra Mantle because it costs 3 to untap it, but we're using the Free from the Real. Free from the Real does also work with our Commander, because sometimes we need repeated fogs just to live through the turn cycle. So if you've got all 3 colors with the Fabro Elder, you can tap it for the white, blue, and the green. Use the blue to untap it, and you're netting the green and the white, so you've got infinite green and infinite white. Yeah, that's a thing that we can do. Now, Lightning Greaves, of course, is in there just to protect our Commander. Sorcerer Spyglass. I honestly kind of didn't give this card the time of day till it got banned in, Brawl. And I was like, why not get banned? And then I read it and I went, oh. See, I'm not reading the words that are on the card, and I love the fact that you get to look at someone's hand and then choose a card name that's just any other card that's not in their hand. And You know, Sorcerer Spyglass enters the battlefield. Look at at an opponent's hand, then choose Memnarch. Activated abilities of Memnarch can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Or you can replace that with, you know, any other activated commander. But I think Memnarch may be the worst of the lot there. Okay, shall we? I guess the rest of the creatures, quote unquote. Running a Vornclex because it is miserable. Big, nasty, miserable. It's like cheating. Running a Seedborn Muse because it is a great card. It does not combo well at all with Stasis. It is kind of a nombo, but they're both so good. And Seedborn does help you build till you get to the point, because you don't slap Stasis down as soon as you're ready. It takes time and careful planning. You never start your combo, especially your game-winning combo, unless you know you can finish it. You know what's going to happen. You know the answers before you ask the question. So that's what the Seedborn Muse helps us do. Now, is this our only other creature? Yeah. Consecrated Sphinx is since a lot of the time, we're going to get to the point where we don't have a turn, or we don't have as many turns as everybody else. Which, by the way, kind of makes the game go quicker when, you know, one player is effectively not playing. Although it can also make it go long, real long. Like you're sitting there and it's not going to be your turn because it's always somebody else's turn, and it could go on for like 9 months or 16 years. It just feels like forever. But anyway, Consecrated Sphinx is kind of our quote draw phase. So because our opponents are drawing, and that means we're double drawing. As long as we don't have a turn, we don't have a discard step, so what does it matter, right? Prosperity, another good draw. I actually used Prosperity during the game I played because it was... I had the Skull Cage, and my opponents were intentionally making or not making land drops to keep in that sweet 3 to 4 range. So I just Prosperity for like 2. Yeah, it's a cruel thing to do, but that's what the deck's designed to do. And then, of course, we have Rhystic Study, which, in a Stasis deck, nobody's paying the 1. Never, ever, ever paying the 1. Heroic Intervention, of course, is going to keep our permanents safe. But now let's look at... Man, I didn't realize there was this many tutors. Of course, Enlightened Tutor and Idyllic Tutor are going to go get our Stasis Kismet, whatever it is we need. Or, maybe the Sterling Grove if we already have the pieces to protect it. Weird Harvest is a creature tutor, and if everybody's locked under stasis, you really don't care if anybody else gets a creature. Sure, go nuts. Fabricate, of course, the artifact tutor, just in case you need that static orb. And then Regrowth. I kind of quantified Regrowth as a tutorish card anyway, because you get back something. Storm Cauldron. Now, I didn't draw Storm Cauldron. I didn't even see it during that game, so I don't know. This may be a slot, just to be brutally honest with you. This may be a slot that we can put something else in. But I like the fact that it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't really work well with us either. I mean, yeah, we've got some artifacts and some creature mana, but we don't really have a way to play multiple lands. But anyway, Aura of Silence, also known as the Brian Canada Nether Void, because I love my artifacts and enchantments. Yeah, it's to make them cost 2 more, it's really kind of hard to do. Now, I thought about going like a Grand Arbiter route and putting in a lot of the taxing spells. Grand Arbiter would fit nicely. That may be what I need in place of that Storm Cauldron. That's the thing. Protection-wise, of course, I'm running 1 Counterspell and 1 Rebuff the Wicked. I figure the Rebuff the Wicked is the right call because just about every permanent we've got, people don't want us to have. And, it's going to target, so Now let's look at removal. Now here is something that I know in decks of days past. I don't know that I have built a deck this year with it in there, but I am running Cyclonic Rift. This is the rule that I am breaking. The reason why I don't care for Cyclonic Rift is, yes, I'm the guy that will play with Armageddon. I will play with Stasis, Kismet, Lock. Heck, I'll even play with Blood Bond combo, but I won't play with Cyclonic Rift. It's in my opinion, it's a little too good. Now, I don't think it's going to get banned or anything. It's not that. It's just, it's not my personal flavor. You know, it takes a lot to look at things and go, you know what, that's not for me. Cyclonic Rift's not for me. It's not my playstyle. But for this particular deck, it is excruciating to play against, and that's why I wanted it in here. Now, creature removal, of course, you saw we don't have that many creatures. We don't have much. Everybody else has all the things. Day of Judgment, Supreme Verdict, and Planar Collapse. I love Planar Collapse because it's tutorable by your enchantment tutors if you need it, and it's cheap. It is, because generally there are a couple of turns when it's beneficial to, or a couple of times, that early game rush where everybody's playing out, if it's elves or birds or what have you, accelerant creatures of some type. And generally turn 3, if you wipe turn 3, a lot of times you don't want to wipe turn 3 because you want to get max value and, you know, more cards than you can get. So, but with this many in the deck, running Planar Collapse out there because it's generally always going to trigger during your upkeep. However, it does draw some hate. Oh, I have another creature. Elish Norn is with the removal section. Imagine that. Elish Norn's in here for pretty much the same reason Vorinclex is. Sometimes it's an insurance policy. Sometimes you're just not going to get there with Stasis. And sometimes you just need to beat down with a 2/3 Bird of Paradise. And crowd control as well. That's Hollow Burial is going to deal with those indestructible and untargetable permanents, or creatures. Pindrel Mist is amazing when nobody has mana but you. So yeah, it does make your birds or whatever creature you have an upkeep cost, but if you've got somebody in that capsize stasis lock, it doesn't matter to you, and there's no creatures on the board anyway. Beast Within, you know, spot removal, Sword to Plowshare. Y'all know me, you gotta run my disenchant. And one Planeswalker in Oko. Now, I will admit I have not played Standard since Throne of Eldraine came out. But it appears that this is miserable to play against. I have not played, so I don't know. But I'm taking everyone's word for it. I probably won't have a chance. You know, this is kind of my thing here. It's what I do. But now let's look at the lands. First, I've had the full Minamo floating around for a while. Actually, for a long while, I pulled it from a Champions Kamigawa standard pack back then. But it does untap Angus. You know, in the event that we need to, I don't know, fog twice in the same turn, or, you know, untap him underneath the stasis. I don't know. I know Minamo sees it's most play in Arcanus the Omnipotent decks, but I'm going to blow through these ones you know really quick. Hollowed Fountain, Razorverge Thicket, Prairie Stream, Glacial Fortress, Scattered Groves, Canopy Vista, Yavimaya Coast, Artikar Waste, Sunpetal Grove, Port Town, Irrigated Farmland, Temple of Mystery, Brushland. Now what we've got are search lands, or well, no, search land. That's it. That's all I've got pretty much is the Fabled Passage. And I still, I still stand by my opinion. I don't know why this card is rare. I don't. That last line, if you control 4 or more lands, untap it, I don't think bumps it from common to rare. I think it should bump it from common to uncommon. However, them knowing what they knew while designing the cards, because they knew what we don't, that they were creating Pioneer, and this would be pretty much the only fetch in Pioneer, barring Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. But I don't know. It is good. You know, it is a strictly better Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse, but I don't think it's rare better. I think it's uncommon better. But anyway, and then we got our any color lands, you know, the Spire of Industry, Exotic Orchard, Grand Coliseum, City of Brass, Forbidden Orchard, and lastly, Command Tower. So that is what we have got for Angus Mackenzie. As I said, I do appreciate everybody watching. It's been a ride to get here. 3 years. So let me mix these basics back in there. I don't know how often. This may be one of the decks I didn't talk with my play group last night or on Friday when I played it. I did talk ahead of time and be like, look, this is a miserable deck and nobody's going to like it. But typically, I mean, y'all seen like the Avacyn deck, Teferi. I'll play once a year, once every 6 months, because quite frankly, it's not like I don't have options, and I don't want to play the same thing over and over. But I don't really want to force them to play the same thing over and over either. But there are times, you know, there are times when I'll throw Avacyn in the bag just in case. Angus here checks a really big box getting off. And this is what we've been waiting on in here. Let me see if I can get this closer to seeing the actual slot in here. So we're deck number 500 on the wall. As I said, I do want to thank everybody for, you know, all the views and subscribing. And by the way, if you want to go ahead, click and subscribe. You know, this is what I do. I build EDH decks. Every now and then I'll come up with something random. Oh, speaking of something random, I realized that this, a lot of y'all haven't been watching since the entirety. I thought about doing a quick, like, little video. Well, it may not be quick. On exactly what the 500 decks are. I have, you know, should have suggested like a Google Doc that I could put out there and everybody could see exactly, you know, which deck is. But I could go through deck by deck and if I remember it, give a quick synopsis of it. But I would probably have to break that up into like 5 videos. 1 through 100, 101 through 200, things like that. Because that'd be a really long time. Even if I just spent a few seconds per deck just naming the commander, that would be, yeah, that'd be a long old video. So I'd probably have to do it in 100 deck blocks. I'd definitely kill that light too to get rid of that glare. But 500X is a big milestone for me, and I'm glad to be able to share it with y'all. Thank you so much for watching, subscribe, and thank you to the patrons, my friends that I play with, other content creators who've helped me along the way. You know what? First and foremost, my family. You know, I have a wonderful, wonderful support system, and they're very supportive. And my LGS owner, he has run that game shop for 18 years there in Dyersburg, and you know, that beats the odds. That doesn't happen a lot. You know, a lot of game stores come and go inside of 5 years. They do a lot, many times a lot less. But yeah, very, yeah, not gonna cry. But I do appreciate it. Thank you all so much, and we're gonna keep going. I actually already have deck number 501 built. Do you know what it is? Another creature from Legends, Princess Lucretia. Yeah, it's a little weird. Everybody's fastly Googling WTF Princess Lucretia. Uh, but it's another one that's just a little different. But there again, thank you all so much. It means a lot that you just watch the ramblings of an old guy. I just love to build decks. That's what I do. And the evidently Wizards has made sure I'm not going to run out of things to do next year with a Commander product coming out every quarter. It looks like ending the year with Commander Legends. That's going to have 70 Legends in one set. Now, to put this in perspective, the two biggest sets for Legends that there ever was Original Legends and then Champions of Kamigawa. And they didn't get close to 70. This is going to be the largest drop of legendary creatures to ever exist in the game. That will be an event. And I'm excited about it. Anyway, I think that's enough rambling. This video's probably gone long anyway. But I appreciate y'all watching. Thank y'all so much. And here's to the next 500. And we will see y'all next time. Oh, you thought I wasn't going to do it, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, I will. I mean, it's 500. I can't not do it right. Right now, we will shuffle and cut.